have gotten from the government of South Africa a firm commitment and statement regarding its support for integration in sports. The arena where the fight will be held, the biggest and most prestigious in South Africa, will not only be integrated for this fight, I'm talking about seating and facilities, but is integrated now permanently, and just about every other arena in South Africa is following suit. So we've accomplished a lot.
All righty, welcome back to Sports Wrap, and we are so thrilled to welcome to the show legendary boxing promoter Bob Arum. Bob, thank you very much for coming down. I appreciate that. It is an honor to have you in our studio today.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be here.
And I'll tell you what's going to be a lot of fun is the fight this weekend over at Fountain Blue. Talk a little bit about Michaela on the main card there.
Well, Michaela, we signed her when she turned professional. She's a wonderful young lady, a terrific fighter, and last year she fought in Madison Square Garden against the Sandy Ryan in a title fight, and it was as good a fight as you want to see. These women, my God, they never stop throwing punches. Of course, the rounds are 2-minute rounds, not 3-minute rounds, so they just go all out. Michaela won. It was fairly controversial, but now they've agreed to do a rematch. She and this Irish girl, Sandy Ryan. It's going to be a tremendous fight. And it'll be shown on ESPN. And when I came over here today, there were less than 70 tickets left, so it'll be a sellout.
Nice. Okay, before we got a ton of boxing to talk to you about, certainly decades of boxing that we can talk with you about. But I do have to ask you about your NCAA tournament stuff. As we're talking here before the show, you're watching the games and loving the games right now in March Madness.
I'll tell you the true story.
Yeah,
My wife Lovey and I were all dressed, ready to go out to dinner, and so I just put on CBS. And there was the Duke game starting, and we got so caught up in that game that we never went to dinner.
Well, they can do that. Duke can. Connor Flagg is the best player right now in college.
I've never seen a kid, and really a kid. You know, he's like a baby. He just turned 18, and he playing like a old grizzled veteran. Imagine when he gets to be 24 and 25, he'll be completely unstoppable in the pros.
Bob, who does a guy like Cooper Flagg remind you of maybe back in the day, the NBA days, if you had to think of somebody like that?
There is nobody that I've seen like him, with the maybe exception of Jokic.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
In other words, he is, I think, and Larry Bird, was because I mean, what we're saying, we beating around the bush, because you don't see a big white kid like that playing the way he does. Larry was, I think, the last one, but. He will be the kind of kid that will compete with and maybe exceed some of these Eastern European kids that are playing, like Doncic and Jokic, and this Israeli kid is really good. Danny Adiva is really terrific.
It's great. We bring Bob Arum on to talk college hoops. Let's go back to a little.
Bob can do it all.
He can do it all. Absolutely. George Foreman lost a great one here recently. You worked with George. That knockout in '94 at MGM. It seemed to me like George was sort of measuring Michael Moore up throughout that whole fight. He was getting beat badly, all 3 scorecards, and was just losing. And then when he threw that combination, the short left and then the short quick right, boom, and finished him off, was just remarkable.
George looked like he was just taking a beating from Moore, but in typical George fashion, he had a plan, and the plan was to keep moving Moore to his left, so that George can nail him with the left and then take him out with the right. And I remember in an earlier round, I asked Roy Foreman, George's brother, when the hell is he going to unload? Because he was really holding back until he got more really within his sights. And finally, I think it was the 10th round where
10.
Yeah, where he got him where he wanted him and knocked him out. And Moore went down out cold.
The place exploded. I just remember the place exploding because people wanted Foreman at 46, almost 46, against a 25-year-old Moore. I mean, people were rooting for George to win that
And it
thing.
didn't look that there was any chance.
Oh, no, it was looked over until it wasn't.
Bob, some of your greatest memories, obviously, with Muhammad Ali. One of the greatest to ever do to play the sport, and one of the greatest in the world, athletes in the world. What are your fondest memories of Ali?
Well, I think my fondest memories are not necessarily the fights. I did 25 fights for him, but my fondest memories was traveling around with him and meeting people and seeing him interact with people, whether they were famous people or people that nobody ever heard of. I mean, he was a people's person, and he knew instinctively how to interact with other people.
No, he did. It was indeed. I'll never forget a moment over at the Hilton where I was there with my wife, and he's doing magic tricks for her, entertaining her, and appears to levitate and does some other sleight of hand tricks, gives her a kiss on the cheek and says,
You want to know? Can I tell a story? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in London, and this was he had fought Henry Cooper, and now was getting ready to fight Brian London. So it was 1966, and he came up to me and he said, "Bob, this very wealthy Pakistani guy wants me to come and have Sunday dinner, and I'd like you to come with me." Herbert, his manager, was going, and so we got into a limousine and we're driving to the guy's house, and we're going through this really lower level area, with the tract houses were all together, a very poor area. So I'm yelling at the driver, "You're taking us in the wrong direction." And he was very imperious, and he said, "No, I'm the right way." And he dropped us off in front of this very, very modest house. And the guy comes out and invites us in. And Ali didn't bat an eyelash. He went in, the guy had a piano because we all couldn't sit at the table at the same time. We had to rotate. And Ali sat at a piano, played music, did magic tricks, and entertained them for like about 2-3 hours. The guy had a young girl, which I guess was the purpose of the visit, the young daughter. And so after it was over and we left, when we got out to the street going to the car, I said, "Muhammad, you really got taken." He says, "What do you mean?" I said, the guy pulled a fast one on you. He said, "No, he didn't." He said he and his family experienced an afternoon that they'll never forget as long as they live. It was very worthwhile me going. And that was the kind of person Ali was.
That's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I'll tell you what, Bob has hours and hours of stories, and we're going to take a break and come back and talk about one of the unique stories that you promoted, and that is, well, think of the name Evel Knievel and the Snake River. Unbelievable promotion. Bob's going to talk about that next right here on Sports Wrap.